Gen Z has a serious gambling problem. Every man my age is betting on parlays, doing blackjack hands while they're gooning, and watching YouTube videos on if you should buy Goochcoin. But this problem goes much deeper than you think.
Teenagers are becoming hooked on gambling.
Back in the day, if you wanted to go to the casino, there was a whole process behind it. You first had to lie to your wife, tell her you were going to a golf game. Then you hop in your car, drive to the bank, wait 20 minutes in line. Then you drive again another 40 minutes outside the city to the casino. And then you can lose your life savings. Compare that to now where I can just go on my phone and within 30 minutes lose my life savings on skibbity toilet slots. If you want to buy some super risky penny stock or trade with leverage, you have to get approved by a stockbroker, then call your stockbroker on the phone. And sports betting was illegal up until 2018 in America and 2021 in Canada. I mean, you could sports bet back then, but it was through some shady third-party app. Now all these things are super accessible. And the less time and action required to wager your money, the less likely it is for the gears in your brain to start churning and your financial decisions are going to be controlled by your emotions. Yeah, you played to make money, but the money's not the addictive part of it. It's the emotional part. It's no coincidence that social media apps and casinos are built the exact same. The bright colors, the loud noises, the trillions of fucking things happening that you can't even process. And the unknowing of if you're gonna win, the anticipation, the rush, the fucking feeling you'll get when you touch the slot machines. These are all studied and perfected to perfectly get you hooked. And look, you can't ban gambling. People will gamble inevitably, and it's better it's a little bit regulated, but to have it this easily accessible to people is insane. We need to stop this. But gambling makes insane amount of money. And where there's money, there's lobbyists. So if you're hoping for the government to step in and regulate gambling, that's not gonna happen until the situation gets way too dire. Now, I don't wanna get too into specifics about casinos and sports betting apps. There's a bunch of other videos on that. I wanna talk about more about the reason why Gen Z feels so propelled to do it. I mean, face it, even that older generation, they also have that ease of access that these gambling apps give them. But there's something new about Gen Z, which brings me to my second problem. Not so long ago, it used to be frowned upon to be a degenerate fucking gambler. I mean, you were like the town idiot. In society, we used to have these things called shame and dignity. I mean, if you were a crippling gambling addict, you would try to hide it, right? You would never brag about it because no one would like you, no one would respect you. But through bombardment upon bombardment of advertisements on every single facet that these gambling companies can promote, the idea of gambling has become cool. Try to watch any sports game from any league in any country. Segments presented by DraftKings, jerseys sponsored by Betway, poster advertisements from Bet365, and every single centimeter of your screen that they can fill up with advertisements about gambling, they will. But the main purpose of these advertisements are not for you to pick a specific gambling website to choose. No. It's to make gambling normal. A culturally normal thing. And this is what Gen Z is struggling with, that no other generation had to go through. This is why it's basically impossible to make ads for cigarettes. Why do you think smoking was cool back in the day? Because people got bombarded with cigarette ads on their favorite sports teams, on their TVs. And I bet that back in the day, if there was Instagram, your favorite fashion influencer would be matching their outfit with Marlboros. But there's something about gambling that specifically appeals to men. There's something about young men that just love gambling. And the first one is just the financial situation young people find themselves in nowadays, which I will get to later in the video. But the second part is like the bro culture behind it. And oh my, who could see this coming? These gambling companies are paying these influencers to influence young men into thinking that gambling is a normal thing in culture. Here's the biggest rapper in the world and he's gambling, so it must be cool. Look at this cool frat guy. Yo, he's spinning slot machines. The leader of Israel, who's wanted for war crimes, is being interviewed by the Nelk Boys. And guess who the advertisements are on the video? Crypto wallets and gambling websites.
I'm doing this podcast, among other things, to reach young people.
Of course.
Custodial wallet. So what that means is there's no seed-phase vulnerability, which means you're holding your own crypto. Over 1.5 million, the more it takes to multiply. Also, we got you guys on a sweet deal. If you guys use code now.
My For You page has been flooded with influencers going up to homeless people and telling them they'll give them cigarettes and beer if they win a hand of blackjack on RainBet. None of those words that I just said were in the Bible. How the fuck did we get here as a society? When Dante wrote his Circles of Hell, he sure as hell missed the one we're living in right now. Look, some of these videos are funny. Like going through a drive-through and then telling the lady you're gonna house change your life and then being like, never mind, I just lost all my money on blackjack. Like, objectively, that's fucking hilarious, okay? But if you replaced them gambling in public with any other type of vice, it would be so degenerate and degrading and disgusting. It wouldn't be funny anymore. And it's not like gambling jokes are bad. Those jokes about leaving your infant son in a hot car while you're in a casino are fucking hilarious. When the joke you're making is promoting these gambling companies, I can't stand that shit. And I think in society, we need to just like recognize this is a bad thing. Recognize that like promoting gambling online is such a sellout shill thing to do, and is so like getting funded by Evil Corp to spread evil. Can we just stop doing it? Choose whatever platform you want. There's a bajillion different influencers who are all gambling. They show you them playing slots, they show you them playing blackjack, whatever, and wagering insane amount of money, but they're not actually wagering that money. The casino is letting them use their account to wager their money. Consciously, you may know that this person is obviously being paid by this gambling company to gamble. Subconsciously, you see this person winning large amounts of money. And what that subconsciously does is it kind of tells you like, oh, I can also make tons of money gambling too, guys. Whoa. And it's why like gambling companies pay absurd amount of money to promote gambling to people. Because there's no better way for these casinos to get you to donate their money to them than to show you a real video of someone winning fake money. Don't engage with any influencer who does anything gambling related. Don't watch them. Don't give them any attention, because that's the only thing that matters to them. That's the only thing that pays them is attention. And so if you don't give it to these people, you cut the tree before it can bear fruit. By like constantly getting shoved these fucking gambling ads in your face 24/7 everywhere you go, every fucking thing you see. You normalize gambling. You make gambling this cool, normal thing that you can do with your friends and a funny thing to talk about. And like, it's like some bonding thing that men now have is gambling. And I see this when I go out, and I don't watch sports that much, but if I talk to another young guy at a party about sports, like 60% of the time they're gonna bring up, yeah bro, I don't like the Lakers anymore because they fucked up my parlay, bro. Or they talk about gambling and playing blackjack and day trading as if it's a video game, because that's kind of what it is, right? It's just numbers on a screen. However, I want to fight this notion of making gambling culturally normal. We need to bring back bullying. If your friends are investing in shitcoins, call them retarded. If your friends are setting parlays up to try and pay their rent, call them retarded. If your friend's telling you about this new forex investor that is gonna make them millions of dollars, call them retarded. I have a cousin of mine that spent $150 on Andrew Tate's Real World University course. And you know what my biggest regret in life is? Not calling you retarded. What does it mean to be a man? To be a man is to be a provider. To work hard, and the fruits of your labor can be shared with those you love. And all the issues you find with Gen Z men is a product of that being stripped away from you. The idea of success that existed just 40 years ago, Gen Z men don't have that anymore. They are becoming adults in a world where they cannot afford to live a dignified life. And by dignified life, I don't just mean starting a family. I mean having time to go do the hobbies you want to do. Having freedom and time and money to travel or go to new places or try new things, to be able to help your family. So what that's done is create two paths for young men. You either give up or try to hustle your way out of it. The reality is both of these men, they are both susceptible to the gambling and the get rich quick and the crypto and forex and day trading. The guy that gives up, he knows there's no point of going to school for 4 years if he knows the job he wants will be replaced by AI. If it's too late for him to get experience to get a job. If he goes into the trades and then every other guy does that and trades aren't paying that well anymore, it won't really be enough to pay for a dignified life that he wants to live. And as the middle class dies a slow, brutal death, young men just find it so disheartening to even try. It's like you just started running a marathon and are digging lava pits in front of you. And you combine this with social media, which has completely separated reality from perception. Well, the easy way out, the path of least resistance, is gambling. That's the only way to get ahead. And the ultra alpha male super hustler, he also knows this fact. And so they both end up flipping two different coins, but they land on the same side. The ultra hustler sees the death and decline of the middle class, and they think, okay, in order for me to live a dignified life, I gotta work my ass off. I gotta work really hard and I gotta work really smart. For a long time, I was in this camp. During COVID when I was in high school, when my neighbors would throw stuff out, I'd pick it up, put it in my garage, and sell it on Marketplace. I ran my own business reselling sneakers, reselling vintage clothes. I cleaned dirty shoes for 2 years. And I made a bunch of money doing this, and I was able to afford trips to Europe and Argentina and Japan and Korea, and it's paying for my tuition. And I even got to meet people who were making like serious money. And through meeting these people, I realized, why is the lifestyle that a regular Joe Schmo could have lived in the 80s has to be reserved to the absolute upper echelon of upperclassmen workers? If you are in like the top 5% of workers. But if you take the stoic approach to life where everything is your fault and you just blame all of your financial outcomes on your lack of skill or you messing up, you almost are forced into gambling. This weekend was Veld Music Festival, which is a big EDM festival here in Toronto. And me and my friend went there with coolers and we bought a bunch of water, we bought a bunch of Gatorade, and I was screaming, holding up a sign saying water, Red Bull, Gatorade. And I was selling drinks to people on Molly and people who were drunk. I made a little bit more than $500 doing this for 3 days. Give or take about $30 an hour. Not bad. I also have an option trade that I put in June for Robinhood. Now I'm planning to hold this option trade probably until the fall. So it's more of a long-term investment. But a couple days after I bought it, Robinhood announced a new tokenization thing in Europe, and I doubled my money, and I made $2,000 in like 3 days. I didn't work hard for that money. I didn't create anything of value. I didn't struggle through it. But I made more money being in my room for 30 minutes and going on an app than I did working my ass off this weekend and yelling and fucking dancing and holding up a sign. Once you open that Pandora's box that is winning from gambling, it almost becomes trivial to work. Because it's like, well, if I just keep doing this, maybe I could make enough money to retire. Maybe I could make hundreds of thousands of dollars in the near future. But I'm also privileged enough to not have to be in a desperate position where I need that to happen. And so oftentimes I meet people that were like working their ass off in whatever business they were doing, and they get super hooked on gambling because it's like you worked your ass off and you still can't afford a home. You still can't afford to live the lifestyle you see people live on Instagram. And it's like, why should I work? I can get lucky. Why should I try?
There used to be that the social contract in life was if you worked hard and you studied at school, with one income you could buy a house and support your family. It doesn't exist anymore. If spending 4 years and thousands of dollars on tuition doesn't guarantee a good job anymore, then what's the point of going for guaranteed things? Then at that point, you might as well invest in the unguaranteeable, in gambling. And if you do find a job, you'll probably get replaced by an Indian guy who will take 30% of your salary, or an AI system. And if you are able to keep one of those jobs and just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, after 20 years of working, you can finally afford the down payment on a house. Maybe if you're lucky, you're very smart, you can get a really good paying job and a good paying career, but the vast majority of people won't. And my generation saw the generation of their parents work their ass off at jobs they hated to be super stressed out to then retire in their 60s. How many jobs do you know that 20-year-olds are in that offer them a pension? And as we're seeing all over the world, that retirement ages are being pushed farther and farther back because the Ponzi scheme that was pension plans is starting to fall apart. There is no retirement age. So what's the alternative for Gen Z? Look, you can work your ass off and live a horrible life where you can't afford a house. You can never be happy. You're constantly renting. The majority of your salary is going towards paying someone else's mortgage. This is an opportunity that we've been presented as young people. How can you blame a young person for wanting to gamble? I mean, it's understandable. If you speak to anybody, they feel like they can't get ahead in life unless they win the lottery.
In life, as human beings, we have these appetites, these hungers, these wants, right? Be it sex, be it alcohol, be it drugs, or be it gambling. And of course, everything in moderation I think is okay, but if you let these things take over you, then you don't control your appetites. Your wants control you. You become a slave to them. I'm not saying don't gamble, but don't let it take over you. I've been to the casino with my friends. I've placed a couple of wagers here and there on soccer matches. I made sure to do all these gambling activities with money that I was 1,000,000% okay with completely losing. I want to end my videos on positive notes. I don't want to just be a doomer all the time, you know? And if you're young and you want to make money, you want to be entrepreneurial, you don't want to work a job, gambling, day trading, forex trading is not the way. Learn math, because statistically, you're going to lose. You're going to lose in the casino. You're going to lose day trading. But especially if you're day trading or doing crypto or any of these these short-term investments, you're actually more likely to make money at the casino than even do that. And that's guaranteed to make you lose money in the long term. So just stop. You're not gonna be the lucky one who makes it out gambling. If the game is rigged against you, don't play. I know the future seems bleak and hopeless, but if you want to invest your money, invest into long-term things. And if you're a young person and you do want to make money and you don't want to work a job and you don't want to work for hourly, start a business. As someone who ran my own business for 3 years, it was the most rewarding thing in the world. Nothing made me happier, and the feeling I would get from making $200 of profit on a pair of shoes felt way better than $2,000 I made getting lucky on Robinhood stock. I know a guy who at 22 years old won 80 grand sports gambling. Now that money won't set you for life, but at 22 years old, that's a lot of money. A year later, he's now down 5K gambling. But the reason that is because it didn't matter that he won 80K. It could have been 800K. Hell, it could have been $8 million. It never would be enough. Because when you make money gambling, when you get lucky on these get rich quick schemes, you don't really earn that money. And so when you don't earn something, you have no reason to care for it. But I think the best way to fight the growing gambling addiction is to fight wealth inequality. Now, I'm sure this one YouTube video is not going to solve an issue that literally all of humanity throughout history has had. But I want to leave you, the viewer, with the sense that you can fix things. And you can affect things in your world to make them better. It means fighting the housing crisis. That means voting out politicians that are bad. Supporting local communities. These large corporations that have led society to the hellhole it's in right now. Don't support them. Support your local businesses. Support your local people. And you might be thinking to yourself, I voted both sides of the political spectrum and my life is still getting worse. And as much as I hate French people, they did invent a really, really, really good way to fix the problem of wealth inequality due to bad politicians.